Hey there, welcome to a special edition of Locked On Astros. That's right, I said special edition. We're going to talk about Alex Bregman. Could he be gone this year? What are the prospects of the Astros getting something in return if they trade him? Alex Bregman is one of the main topics we talk about on this edition of Locked On Astros.
Welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talkstros. Find the show at Locked On Astros. Your team every day. Brett, where can I find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Stros411 on X, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros.
All right. Can we imagine life without Alex Bregman? Well, it seems like Yankees fans, Dodgers fans, all these people that have been booing Alex Bregman for all these years, all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we could trade for this all-star third baseman. Let's do it. Well, you've been booing him for all this time. Why do you want him all of a sudden? So we'll talk about where all this talk is coming from in this edition of Locked On Astros. And Sonny Gray. What does Sonny Gray's deal do for not just the Astros, but the pitching market as a whole? Because he signed for a lot more than I think a lot of people thought that he would. So, Brett, thank you once again for covering for last night. And this is our first time getting a chance to talk to you. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. To all our listeners, I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving and you had some time to spend with your friends and family and everything. But we are back and we are here, and we are glad that you made us your first listen every day, whether it's through the holidays, through the off season, through the postseason, wherever. We're always here for you, and thank you for making us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, and make sure you become an everydayer, somebody that subscribes to our podcast on YouTube. Go and do that little red button down there, and go and become an everydayer and listen to our podcast. So, Brett, I know that you and I were talking about this article we both kind of saw today, and we're kind of poking fun of it. But then Jim Duquette came out and with on a podcast and basically said that the Astros are not shopping Alex Bregman, but they will be entertaining or listening to offers for Alex Bregman because there's no way they can retain all the people that they can. In other words, Alex Bregman is likely somebody that they think that they can replace.
Yeah, and it makes sense. It goes along with, I know I've said it, I believe you've talked about it. And I mean, we've been covering this team together for 4 years, going into our 5th season next year together. And we've seen some of the key players from this playoff run leave, exit stage left without, a decent deal. I honestly don't think Springer was going to resign here regardless of what they offered him. I think he was out the door. Correa probably would have stayed if they'd given him the bag. Cole wasn't really a guy that they were going to keep. But at the same time, you wonder at what point do these players not named Jose Altuve get offered that contract? And it just seems to me if you're trying to extend Correa, if you're trying to extend Altuve, Bregman, and Tucker, that's really a pipe.
And Valdez.
And Valdez. Yeah. And so he's not even the guy I'm even thinking about right now, because I'm talking about the core, keeping these core 3 together, because Yuli's gone. And so this is really your core 3. These guys have seen a lot of time together. And Alex Bregman's played every year of his baseball life with the Astros organization. To hear that they're shopping him around makes you wonder, how much do they value him? How much does that bother Alex Bregman? What does that play into it? But they don't have a lot of room to play with. They don't have wiggle room, and that's what they're dealing with. And I don't see Crane deviating from what he's done in the years past.
Well, let's clarify something. They're not shopping him. They are listening.
Okay. Well, that makes sense, right? Well, but But even the fact that the knowledge is out there that they're listening to offers,
Right.
to me signals that they're considering moving him.
Well, even in past with Mike Trout at the top of his game, I'm sure some people are like, "Hey, Angels, would you be interested in Mike Trout?" No, that would be considered listening. So now the listening
True.
would be, "Hey, Astros, would you be interested in trading for Alex Bregman? Trading Alex Bregman away? Sure. I mean, maybe. What's your offer? What are you gonna give me? Because this is
Right.
my third baseman. He's somebody I can't really replace. He had a better season last year. He helped us in the playoffs. This is a guy that's a very good teammate. He's part of one of our leaders in our clubhouse. So I'll listen to what you have to offer, but it's got to be something that makes sense for us because we're still in a window to win right now. So that's what my idea of listening is. It's not like, oh crap, we got to offload this guy's salary, but we'll talk about something.
That's true.
What if they don't trade him? And then what happens with Shohei Ohtani and the Angels? We don't want that to happen either. But it's kind of a you're darned if you do and you're darned if you don't.
Yeah, it's the bottom line is like what ultimately does the market say that Alex Bregman is worth? And when we talk about that, when we talk later on, we'll connect it to Sonny Gray's deal because the market seems to not be trending downward. It seems to be trending upward. And
Right.
there are players. And look, I mean, the Astros are complicit in this. They gave Montero the fifth highest relief pitcher contract in the league, and so you can't overpay a relief pitcher that's done something for 1 year and then not offer a guy that you're paying 29 million to his final year or 30 million to his in his final year and then undercut him and only give him 25 or 26.
Right.
So therein lies the problem. Altuve is going to bring at least 30 million for the next 4 or 5 years. He's going to be, I think Altuve is a foregone conclusion. They're pretty much just haven't signed the contract, right? But Bregman and now Tucker, those are tricky, things to figure out. I just think my question is this to you, Eric. Is Bregman worth the 30 or 31 million? Is he more worth a 24, 25 million? And if he's worth less than maybe what the market suggests that he's valued at, are the Astros still able to sign Tucker as well? I mean, to me, if you keep Altuve and then you sign Bregman, you might as well forget Tucker.
Well, so if you go ahead and sign, let's say we sign all three of those guys, where
Yeah.
are you getting? Who else is going to be on the roster? You're going to have a roster
Yeah.
basically of Alvarez, of Bregman, Altuve, and then Bregman. So that's about it. You're not going
Well,
to have anybody else because you can't afford. You'll have Brett Chancey playing
no.
shortstop,
Well,
and then
you've
you'll
got,
have Eric Huysman pitching. So
but oh, please no, that would be terrible. Not necessarily you pitching, but us playing for the Astros would be like a desperation move.
right,
But you got Yanner Diaz. He's a really low cost right now.
yeah, I know.
Chas McCormick's still pretty low. Dubon's still pretty low. You're locked in with Abreu, and you just need a backup catcher. And I lined out some of those guys that are maybe worth 2 or 3 million a year. I think you make it work. But Frams, see ya. We're probably not re-signing you.
Right. So in a second, we'll go ahead and talk about what Alex Bregman's market value is. So if he had to sign a deal right now, how much would he get? Who does he compare to in the market? And let's say the Astros did trade it because Jim Duquette said that there's a chance that he does not put on a Houston Astros uniform this year. That's a big statement. I mean, it doesn't mean it's going to happen, but I wonder what FanDuel would have to say about that.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is the number one sports book in America, and you go to FanDuel.com and use the promo code Locked On. You get a real special offer I'm about to tell you about. The NFL season is in full swing, and if you watched this last week, the disappointing results as the Houston Texans narrowly beat the Jaguars would have swept them on the season and been in command of their division, but they were not. So let me tell you about this offer. If you're a Texans fan or you're just a fan and your team didn't win or your team won, even better. New customers with FanDuel get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. It's $150 if your team wins. The Week 13 money line for the Texans and Denver Broncos is minus 180 for the Texans, plus 152 for the Broncos. You can go with a more highly contested, tightly fought race. You take the Falcons and the Jets. That's right. Jets are plus 122 and the Falcons are at 144. So make sure you go to FanDuel. Realize that their app is easy to use. They have spreads, player props, over and unders, and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and keep the season rolling as the Texans try to sneak into the playoffs. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Hey guys, Locked On has launched the first ever national 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with local experts like us, Locked On Astros, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. All right, so Brett, I know that a lot of people are saying the Astros only have like 7 million, 6 million, 8 million, depending on who you believe in terms of not going over the current CBT. We've only seen Jim Crane go over the CBT once in his time as the Astros owner. But when it comes to Alex Bregman has been one of the key guys since he's come up. He's been one of the leaders, and the Astros recognized that early, and they signed him to that big deal. However, this is what's going to happen. If he doesn't sign with the extension, maybe during spring training, the Astros are likely not going to do something during the season. They've already kind of established that with Kyle Tucker, with previous players. So the Astros have to make a decision. Where do they fit? Where do they fit with Alex Bregman? So if you're looking at what his market value is right now, according to SpotTrack, it is 9 years, $286 million. That means it's about $31.8 million per year. So not much of a raise from where he's coming from right now. His average salary was even though he's getting paid $31 million, if you're looking at including his arbitration years, I think it was about $25 million or something average salary, or maybe even $20 million. But so it's going to be a big raise from the AAV. But if you're looking at what he's making this year, it's not going to be that much of a big difference. But who does he compare to? Francisco Lindor, Carlos Correa, Manny Machado, Mookie Betts. Those are some contracts. But if you look at all those people, they're all 10 years plus. The Astros are not going to go. I know Carlos Correa is not, but if it wasn't, it was only because of the opt-out and then the injury situation. That's the only reason why Carlos Correa isn't on a 10-year deal. But the Astros are not going to do a 10-year deal. So 9 years is probably what Bregman has. $31 million per year.
So, okay. So if we look at 2024, I'm looking at the payroll right now for the Astros. You've got obviously Bregman at 30.5, Altuve at 29, Verlander at 43, Abreu at 19, Alvarez at 10, Lance McCullers at 17. Lance McCullers, Eric, is signed through 2026 at 17.7 million. That's painful. Yordan Alvarez goes from 10 million this year to 15 million in 25, 26 million in 26, 27, and 28. It was a backloaded contract. Okay. So you got to think about those years. After 25, Verlander comes off, but he's getting paid 35 that year. And then you have Lance McCullers again, 17, Javier and Montero both making 10 and 11. Javier's making 21 and 26. So in 26 and 27, you have Yordan Alvarez, you have Lance McCullers in 26, and then you have Christian Javier making 21 million, in 2026. So going forward, you have to see, okay, if I'm going to pay 30 million over 9 years, and that's a lot of money.
Right.
And, you know, Verlander will be gone, so that'll be a huge chunk, but that won't be till 2026. And so I just don't see them giving him 9 years. I mean, he's 30 years old. I know he paid Abreu like 3 years into his 39th year, I believe, but that's a 3 years. You're not gonna you just they may give him 5, they may give him 7. It's my understanding that, Tucker doesn't necessarily he doesn't have to have a 10-year deal from what I understand, but Alex Bregman, Eric, he may want that 10-year deal, and he may feel like he earned it. But it's so cringy to think about him being on another team, especially someone like the Yankees, where, like you said, we were talking before the show, Dodgers fans suddenly want him. I'm like, you hate this guy. And
Boo, cheater, cheater. Hey,
you
come play for the
don't want.
Yankees.
Oh yeah, you don't
Come
you
play
don't
for
want
Dodgers.
Bregman. Oh, and all that stuff gets washed, and it's not a big deal when that guy comes and plays for your city. Trust me, we know their routine. We know the fake outrage. We know how it works. But dude, I'm just looking at FanGraphs, and I'm looking at that, and I forgot that Jordan's contract is a massive saver for us this year
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and next year. And if he's still healthy and producing the way he is in 26 through 28, that's 26 million actually looks pretty good on the
He's a
market
very
for who he is.
team-friendly.
Very team friendly, but it's still 26 million. It's not chump change.
Right. So, yeah. So they bought out his arbitration years a little bit, and then they just kind of took care of him at the back half. So, yes.
Right.
And that's what they tried to do with Kyle Tucker, and they couldn't see eye to eye in that case. But in terms of Alex Bregman, I think that the Astros are going to listen to see what's out there. If they get a deal now, what we could see is we could potentially see a trade for like a major league arm. Like when I say arm, I mean like a top starter. I know I joked earlier about Judge, but I don't think that they could trade for Aaron Judge. But
No,
I
not after
was
his
like,
contract signing.
Yankees, if you want one of our beloved Astros, you have to give us Aaron Judge. I was joking about that earlier, but
Kyle Tucker might have a thing to say about that.
yeah. So I'm not saying that there's a chance that Alex Bregman is not traded, but I just think he has more value than I think we give him credit for, because teams outside of Houston, especially they see what he can do. And outside of Houston, he could probably hit more home runs. He could probably have some more power outside of Houston. So I think that I don't know. I don't know what type of package you get. I don't know if you get some prospects, if you pay down some of that salary, that $31 million that he's due, whatever the contract is for this year. If you pay some of that down, you can get some more prospects. You can get some more talent back in return. But it is a big contract.
The problem is he's on a basically he'd be a 1-year rental.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't go to a place that's a contender,
He's a winner.
He's a winner, but I'm just saying, if he doesn't go to a contender, then a team that's not contending, right?
The White Sox aren't going to trade him for Dylan Cease. The White Sox have no need for a 1-year rental. Yeah.
Well, I know that's
what you're saying.
Yeah. So, he would have to go to a contender. A contender would have to be willing to trade something of value to the Astros. And dude, I still think there's this weird, and of course I know we've made good on some trades, but I just don't know. I just don't see a blockbuster trade coming our way with Bregman. I'm just in the camp that if you're not going to get anything for him, you might as well get something for him. But I just don't know at this point what you're going to get for him. I think you would have had to have this conversation last off season where he has 2 years and, pay part of that contract would be a little bit more realistic. But Eric, you had mentioned what?
You know what would really suck? Who just traded a third baseman? The Mariners.
Eddie
Suarez.
Yeah.
What if they traded for Alex Bregman? Wouldn't the Mariners? Wouldn't that be soul crushing?
If they trade us Julio Rodriguez and
no, that's not how it works, dude.
Julio Rodriguez and Cal Riley. How's that?
I'm thinking more of like a maybe Kirby or Knight or
Oh, oh, heck
or,
yeah, dude.
no,
Let's
no,
get
maybe not even
bring,
Kirby, but Gilbert or something.
no, yeah, Gilbert. Let's bring up Gilbert. Gilbert and Rodriguez for Alex. Done.
But wouldn't that just be a soul crusher just to see
And see,
the
that's the
bad
thing.
blood between the two teams?
See, Jim and I think Jim Crane, I think these owners, I think there are certain teams that you're just never going to see trade with each other. And that's probably one of them, right? At the end of the day, though, Eric, let's say that Alex Bregman is no longer here and he gets traded. Okay.
Right.
You and I talked before the show. There's a player that because we don't really have a ready replacement. We have replacements that are kind of developing,
Right.
and DeCenzo and Will Wagner, guys like that. And you and I talked about this, and you actually came up with this. What if the Astros went after Matt Chapman? If we lose Bregman, you need someone. Now, Bregman's never won a Gold Glove. We know he's a defensive genius, but Matt Chapman has 4 of them.
Right.
And he's worth about half or a little bit more than half than what Bregman's worth. So in that kind of scenario, it seems doable. But my first thought is, who's going to replace Bregman? Are you going to slide Jeremy Pena over to third? Is Dubon going to play shortstop? Like, how are you going to fix that problem or fix that hole in the infield?
Yeah. So that's something we can definitely talk about in a second. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering top sports stories of the day with local experts like us on Locked On Astros, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports streaming 24/7 channel. So remember when Dana Brown said he might have to get creative and to make some deals? You don't have a lot of money to go out there and get those parts you need. And so if you have to do something like Alex Bregman, I love him. I would love for this guy to be a Houston Astro the rest of our life.
Oh, me too.
But we can't keep Kyle Tucker. We can't keep Jose Altuve. And we can't keep Framber Valdez down the road. We can't keep everybody. So we have to make decisions. And so I could see if we had to move on from Alex Bregman, not that I want to, just want to clarify. I would like for him to be an Astro the rest of his life, like Dana Brown promised us. And all we've gotten was Christian Javier, who forgot how to pitch after the extension. But what if we didn't have Alex Bregman anymore? Matt Chapman would be a decent option. Remember last year at the beginning of the year in April, he was like a man on fire. He was batting like 400, hitting home runs left and right.
I mean, he cooled off, and when you look at his career average, it's not something that you write home about, but he's got power. He's been on good teams. He was a rival with the Oakland A's. He's been in Toronto. That Toronto is an interesting situation. They've got so much talent. Now you're hearing about Bo Bichette possibly being of interest to the Chicago Cubs. I mean, that team has really underachieved. Their ceiling has been so high and their expectations have been so high. You know, all these former or all these sons of Hall of Fame players on one team, and they just in the end can't get it done. Maybe Matt Chapman coming to Minute Maid Park, and I would like to see his average here. We're just exploring ideas here because this is the off season and this is what we do. We're trying to cook in the lab. So, you know, Eric, this is a good idea. So let's let Eric cook, because my first question is, again, how do we replace him? If you can replace him with a starter, but you're going to pay someone basically half what you're going to pay Bregman, I consider that a win. Again, you're going to miss Bregman's experience in the clubhouse. You're going to miss that he's been here for every one of the ALCS. You're going to miss an integral part of this team, and team chemistry will take a hit. But if you have to do it, or if you're going to do it, you might as well try to go out there and get someone that's a realistic get back to replace him. And Chapman, I think, fits in that ballpark.
So, like you mentioned, he's a career 240 hitter. He's hit 27 home runs in some seasons. Last year, he only hit 17 home runs. He had 12 in the first half. Then he had 5 in the whole second half. His at bats dropped in the second half. He just kind of lost some steam. I know there's an injury along the way, but he is a great defensive player, and his market value is 17.3 million or something like
Yeah.
that, and for 6 years. So that's about let's say $100 million for
Yeah.
6
So
years.
so they're saying 17.2 is basically 103 million. Yeah.
Right.
You're pretty on the money right there. And, he's getting 12 and a half this year.
Right.
He got 12 and a half for his 2 years, or 12. He got the signing bonus for 1 million in 22-23. He made 12. The most he ever made in Oakland was 6.4. And I think that was an arbitration year, possibly his final ARB year. And yeah, I mean, dude, Eric, mentioned his stats, his home runs, 27 home runs twice, 36 home runs in 19, 24 and 18. He's gotten close to 100 RBI once. He had 91 in 2019. His WAR has been as high as 7.79. His career WAR is 31.20. Alex Bregman's career WAR, let's see what it is 35.41. There's not much of a difference there. Again, 4 Gold Gloves, right. Chapman, batting average wise, 4 Gold Gloves. Yeah, close WAR. Now Bregman does have the plate discipline over him. Bregman does have the better OPS numbers. He was runner-up for MVP. So we're not saying that Matt Chapman equals Alex Bregman, but by God, if you're going to do something like trade Alex Bregman away and you're not getting the third baseman back, you need to find somebody that is a quality third baseman. And I would absolutely be on that train. I would probably cry tears, because I remember watching Alex Bregman play at LSU, Eric. So look, but tell us about Sonny Gray's deal, because go ahead.
We do need to talk about his stats at Minute Park.
Okay, go ahead.
So this is Matt Chapman's career stats at Minute Park. In 37 games, he's batting 196. With a 603 OPS, 5 home runs, 12 RBIs. 14. Yeah, 12 RBIs. I was right. He has 50 strikeouts in those at bats.
Okay. So this was Eric's idea. Oh man, I'm sorry. I thought maybe he had a better time at Minute Park.
Think about who he's been facing all these years. You're talking about Justin Verlander. You're talking about Garrett Cole.
That's true.
All his time with the A's.
We've had very good pitching. Yeah. So yeah, and he's on the Oakland A's. He didn't really, a lot of years he didn't have a ton of protection around him. It was him and
right.
His first baseman, Olsen. Sorry, Matt Olsen. Yeah, I don't know why I drew a blank there. So, but Eric,
speaking of which, former Sonny Gray, he signed another deal, and this is a guy I thought the Astros should possibly go after. His market value was, I think I put in our notes, it was about
it was 20 million.
Yeah, 20 million. But I thought I had the year, but maybe I didn't. So it was there it is. It was 20.3 million. And the actual length of the year was supposed to be 3 years, 60.9. That's what Spotrac said that his market value was. Today, as Brett put at the bottom, he signed with the Cardinals for 3 years, $75 million. So the Cardinals now have a starting rotation with the average age of 35 years old. You have Lance Lynn, then Cal Gibson, and then you have Sonny Gray joining. Who's the other guys?
I just saw the rotation. I don't even remember off the top of my head there.
Yeah. But it's old. It's an older rotation, so it's good enough to win the National League Central. But at the same time, they need to focus. Yes, they upgraded their rotation, but also now they need to focus on building around Goldsmith and Arenado, because they do need some more offense there. But that's an interesting decision that the Cardinals actually paid not just a little bit over, but they went. I know Spotrac is not the a Bible or anything, but they went $5 million over per season, basically saying, okay, Sonny Gray, we can't promise we're going to be a winner this year, but we'll pay you to come to this team. And so,
so here is their 2024 rotation: Sonny Gray 34, Miles Mikolas 35, Kyle Gibson 30. I'm sorry, no, Mikolas is 36, Gibson is 36, Lance Lynn 37, Steven Matz 33, Zach Thompson 26, Matthew Liberatore 24, and Drew Rom 24. So they've got some young arms.
they don't have. You didn't list out Sonny Gray there. Yep, but
yeah, because
right.
because we're actually talking about him. But yeah, Sonny Gray obviously 34, but yeah, so most of their guys are 33 or older. Steven Matz, can he be the Steven Matz that he was in New York? Look, St. Louis just signed 3 new pitchers. Now they have options. What do you need? You need between 9 and 12 starting pitchers to make it through a 162 game season, per David Sampson and per just people who know baseball. And I just like, what are the Astros pitching options?
It hurts the Astros now because they have to pay more for any starting pitchers they sign. And Matt Chapman does have did get offered a qualifying offer. So if you do sign him, you do have to give up a pick.
You lose a draft pick. Yeah.
Right.
So look, none of these answers are easy. None of the solutions are easy, but like Dana Brown said, you got to get creative. So we figure, why not get creative? So Alex Bregman, if you're listening to this, bud, we want you to stay here. We want you to be Houston Astro. Love the vibes, but business is baseball and baseball is business. So let's just win a World Series in 2024. I don't care who's on the roster. Let's go get it. He's Eric Huysman. I'm H-Town Wellhouse. You can find us at Locked On Astros. Subscribe to the YouTube channel.
That's all we got for this episode, and we'll see you tomorrow. Go Astros.